Hey, welcome everybody to the Mortgage Mastermind Group's top producer interview. I'm Paul Baxter, and I'm here with mentor, founder, all in all good guy, Mr. Chad Bates. How's it going today, my friend?
Going fantastic, Paul. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. You got to be sitting on cloud nine right now. Had a great little mini vacation, spent some good quality time with friends and family, got to see your alma mater just absolutely lay the wood to their opponent last week. You got to be feeling pretty good right now.
It was a magical weekend, and starting with a big win over the South Carolina Gamecocks at their place, and nobody gave us a chance, and true Aggie style, we showed up and played.
It was a whooping, to say the least. A whooping, to say the least. Well, guys and girls, that's what we're here for. We've got a really, really great presentation, or the interview I'm going to be doing with Chad today is on a specific subject, and we've all used this subject before. I know that pretty much everybody on this call, the people that I speak to on a very regular basis, we've all used that 1-800 call capture number. We've all used this before, right? We kind of know what that is. The typical call capture system that's available to the public, there's several of them that are out there, but the typical 1-800 call capture system converts to conversations at about 15%, which, you know, I mean, it is what it is. It's still a great strategy to have. But what if I told you that Chad has found a system that is very similar that converts at 85%. Now that's something that's a little bit different. The old school 1-800 call capture is now something you can call mobile voice routing, and that's what we're going to be talking about today and interviewing Chad about today is his mobile voice routing system. So let's find out how this mobile voice routing system works, shall we? Chad, you ready for some questions, my friend?
You bet. Fire away, Paul.
I'm going to fire them at you. Here we go. First question is, what the heck is mobile voice routing, and how is it different than 1-800 call capture?
Well, first off, I think the terminology mobile voice routing, when you start talking with people in the marketplace, realtors, builders, etc., it automatically piques their interest because it's, you know, they're familiar with the old call capture technology. I use the old Arts Telecom call capture technology 15, 20 years ago, and we did business off of it, but we had a team of people that were constantly calling all those leads. Well, mobile voice routing is the new technology that takes advantage of being able to connect to voicemail, that sends text messages to our realtors and to ourselves, that actually has it to where a consumer can push a button and connect directly into a smartphone for a real estate agent. And so it kind of takes that old technology and updates it to 2014 type technology. And the cool thing is not many people still are using this technology. They still think about the old call capture, and if they weren't set up properly, they tried it and they spent a bunch of money and it didn't work. And so they automatically run the other direction when they hear about something like this. I'm telling you, this is a business pillar that you need to have in your bag of tricks because it can create real value and identify the target market. You know, Paul, National Association of Realtors states in their statistical analysis, and this has been true for a number of years, that 5 to 7% of the population at any given point in time are looking to buy or sell. Well, the hardest thing we have in our industry is how do we identify that 5 to 7%? Well, mobile voice routing is a way that you can do that. You're going to have consumers raise their hand saying, I need your help.
And one of the things that I learned about it, and when, you know, getting ready for today's class and asking you I probably asked you every question known to man the other day when we were talking about this, and some of the research I did on my own in learning about the mobile voice routing, one of the things that it struck me as being the reason why it goes from that 15 to 85%, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I know that part of the way that the system works is, let's say I'm a consumer and I'm standing in front of a home that I'm interested in and I dial that number. When I get to the automated message, it asks me, would you like to speak with a real estate professional? Say yes now. Instead of it saying, press 1 now, it says say yes now. So for me, my action step as the consumer became much easier than pulling the phone down and hitting the number 1. That takes a movement, and it's a two-step process. With the mobile voice routing, I simply have to say yes, and I believe that that's the reason for the difference in people, people will call the 800 number regardless of if it's mobile voice routing or a regular 800 call capture. It's what happens on the inside that creates the difference in conversion. Is that correct?
Absolutely, and therein lies the name, mobile voice routing. So on a mobile cell phone, smartphone, a consumer can say yes, and they're routed immediately to an agent that can answer all their questions. Now here's a key too. Whenever a consumer calls into these numbers that are exclusive numbers to just your set of numbers with your extensions, immediately both the real estate agent or builder, whichever the case may be, and our team as a lender immediately get an email and or a text, depending on how you set the system up, that says somebody's calling in on 123 Anywhere Street, be prepared to answer any questions. So you get it queued up that somebody's calling in.
That's awesome.
So that's a real key part of the equation. Now, another component a lot of people are still not aware of that are even using this system is it can either connect to a live real estate agent or builder rep, or they can leave a voicemail. And so that's another component of the system that a lot of people don't know about.
That's very cool.
So the beautiful part there, though, Paul, is let's say that somebody says, well, I really don't want to talk to an agent right now. They're going to try to sell me on something, but I'd like to leave a voicemail and see about getting some more information. Well, whenever they hang up from that voicemail, immediately an email goes to the agent or builder rep and to us with the attached voicemail message attached physically to the email. So really cool use of technology. That's
awesome. And, one of the big things that, you talked a little bit about the National Association of Realtor Statistics. One of the things that they've said in the past is that the average real estate agent follows up on a lead after 53 hours because I'm thinking because they don't know what's all involved. This kind of takes that away. You know instantly what's involved. You got the actual voice message right then and there. You can listen to it and make a determination as to how to best approach that consumer from that voicemail. I personally would always have it on to where I answer the phone each and every time because there's, if they're calling, I want to talk to them. I want to catch them when they're in their ether. But it's multiple pieces to the system. I think being able to say yes versus press a button, that adds to the conversion right there. But the other bells and whistles that you mentioned on the back end, the emails and the texts and that instant notification, the option of voicemail or live person, it just adds to the conversion rate basically, and that's what it's all about. I mean, you can use it. Let's face it, 1-800 call capture, it works. People still use it. It works. It's just a matter of how are you going about the conversion process on those phone calls. And I think,
Paul, the thing that is a real key, having used both systems historically in our business, the key is the call capture is certainly, it's a numbers game. I mean, it's like you said, 15% conversion rate. But when a consumer can actually connect directly to the smartphone of an agent, it's really hard for them not to take that phone call. They've got a prospect asking about one of their properties, and we're helping them sell their listings and helping them get both sides of the transaction. So obviously, part of your determination process of who you want to work with on something like this is, will you take those phone calls? And if they hesitate, then well, that's not somebody I want to be working with. They got a live consumer actually wanting to get information about a house. Let me tell you a little story.
Or take a walkthrough.
Absolutely. Let me tell you a little story, and this is a true story. So one of our agents was really reluctant to use this, and they were like, well, we don't have time to follow up. We've used call capture in the past, and you get a bunch of telephone numbers, and people say, nobody from my house called this number, et cetera. And so I did the old role reversal and said, what if you had a consumer that actually was connecting to your smartphone and wanted to ask some questions about one of your listings? Would you take that phone call? Well, again, if they say no, that's not who we want to be working with, right? But so one of my agents said, okay, finally, I'll try the technology. And so we went through the process, got the sign that we've done some testing on some signs. We'll talk about that a little bit later, which ones work, which ones don't. So consumer calls in, connects to the agent, says, I'm sitting here in front of this house, and I was wondering if you could come show it to me right now. And so she's like, absolutely, I'm on my way, I'm 15 minutes away. So they think that they've hung up, and they didn't hang up. And so they continued to talk. And they're giving buying signals. They're like, honey, look, this is exactly what we wanted. It's got a side entry garage, and there's no front doors messing up the elevation on the front. It's 2-story, but it doesn't really look like a 2-story. But, man, look at the back of the house. It's going to have a lot of square footage in there. So they're giving all these buying signals, right? And it's, all this is still going on. So the agent is en route and goes over there and already knows what they like and starts, talking about those features. And that transaction, they showed that one house, one of their own listings, $250,000 purchase, both sides of the transaction. We had a believer after that.
That's a $7,000 day for them, or a $7,000 phone call right there, to take the phone call.
And without that sign being in front of that house and without that technology, they might have called on the sign, or they might have just picked up the phone and called an agent, from some other company to come show them that house. Absolutely,
or done what a lot of people are doing, start researching on the internet. I need a real estate agent to come show me this house. That's absolutely fantastic story, and proof that people will pick up the phone and dial that number. They just will. It's just how you convert them at the end of that. All right, question 2. What is the name of the system that you use? What is the software that you use?
We've looked at about every system out there, and the one that has the best, first off, it's very affordable, as we'll talk about later, but has the best use of technology and has been very reliable for us is ProQuest Technologies.
ProQuest Technologies. And guys, I will show you that, with time permitting at the end of today's presentation. I will show you the site, what it looks like, so you've got a good idea about it. It's ProQuest Technologies.
And I want to have full disclosure here, Bob. We don't have an affiliate relationship with them or anything else. We're not making a cent off of it. We're just trying to help our members build their business. And this is a business pillar. Should be one of the first business pillars that you implement after getting your realtor business going, because it complements it.
Absolutely. Agreed. So ProQuest Technologies is the name of the system, and then the follow-up to that is obviously how much. And Jeff kind of said it already. It's $99. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the basic package is $99 a month. And guys, girls, again, we're not affiliated. We're not here to sell ProQuest Technologies. We're here to talk about a strategy that absolutely brings in business, brings in loans to the front door. That's the bottom line. It's $99 a month, and right now on their website, I didn't even know this until I looked at it today, but they're offering, if you sign up before the end of the day or the end of the week, I think it was, they waive the $299 setup fee. Basically, they waive their setup fee for you, and you just pay the monthly fee. So it is available to you.
And that's normally a $295 setup fee, so it's not insignificant.
Yeah, it's a $300 savings right off the bat there. And Jeff's saying it's sign up by today. All right, so you guys know what the name of the system is, how much it costs. Now let's get into the good stuff. Are there any RESPA issues? Obviously, we're paying a monthly fee for something and we're offering it to the real estate agents. Are there RESPA issues to think about? And if so, how do you handle those?
Absolutely. Anytime we're doing cooperative marketing with any referral partner, we have to make sure we dot our I's and cross our T's. So I'm going to tell you how we have implemented this, but for any of our loan officers out there, make sure you touch base with your compliance department and tell them how can we do this to structure it to where it's on an even keel and it passes the RESPA review. In our case, we provide the technology and we have the real estate agents purchase the signs. And then we keep that in a file. We have documentation so everybody has invested appropriately in this cooperative marketing.
And that makes sense. And I didn't have this question in here, but it just popped into my head, so I apologize for going off script on you. What do the agents pay for signs, or do they set their own deal up on the signs?
We have found some very inexpensive sources. What we found that works the best. First off, we do not use sign writers. We use regular signs that are, the metal stake and the plastic type signs, and we've gotten the source down to, if you buy any volume at all, you can get them for $45 a piece.
Okay.
$4 or $5, I should say.
And that's it, with the printing on them and everything?
And that's full color with the printing on them. The only thing that you have to do is, what we do anyway, is we go to the local hardware store, or the agent does, and get some of those stick-on white letters, and that's what they use for their extension numbers. But then they can use that same extension number from one house to the next, just change the recording.
Just flip it up. Okay. How do you, here's a big one. This is one that everybody's, when you've got the system now, how do you approach the agents to work with you with it? I mean, what's the method in which you get the agents to start talking to you about using the system with you?
Well, Paul, you know my approach. I have a full approach campaign. It starts with a needs assessment, opening interview, and then we go back with a commitment letter. And in that commitment letter, we're identifying areas that we're going to bring solutions to help them build their business, correct? And so in that way, we also plug in, this is part of our value package that we present as a part of that commitment letter, and one of the first implementation steps that we go through in terms of our next follow-up after getting a written and signed commitment letter from our agents. So it flows very naturally. But the simple thing is, you ask this question, how many listings do you have? How are you marketing those listings? All that's coming up in our needs assessment, right? We're mining for information. We're mining for needs, and then we're going to go back and fill those needs. Really simple sales approach, okay? Too many people go out and just start talking about selling the system again instead of finding how we can help them. Well, simple question is, if I could show you a strategy that can help you sell more of your own listings and get both sides of the transactions at a very low cost, would you be interested in looking at it? Well, they're going to say yes.
Yeah,
obviously.
Of course. And if they don't say yes, again, that's not the right fit for you. Turn around and start walking.
Well, and the nicest thing about this, you have a lot of agents out there that are spending a boatload of money on internet leads and Boomtown and Zillow and all these other things. Well, when we get these leads, they're exclusive to us. That's a whole big difference right there. We're not talking about an internet need that's being sold 8 or 10 times and 8 or 10 phone calls coming. They are exclusive to our referral partners and us.
That's excellent. So as far as how you approach the agents, it's all about that realtor needs assessment up front, and then you're approaching the mobile voice routing inside of the actual commitment letter as to, breaking down how you're going to help provide them with value and help them grow their business. Here's one of the things that we offer.
And I think the key is we're presenting this as a partner. So we're bringing some technology to the table. You don't have to worry about how to implement the technology part. We've already got that figured out for you, because how many realtors out there that do much business are really tech savvy? Not very many, right? So, but we can make them appear very tech savvy. And this is a whole other class, but one of the things we teach them also is when they're doing their listing presentation to plug our technology into their listing presentation to differentiate them from their competition. So again, providing a solution, help them get more listings, help them sell their listings themselves, and attract other buyer leads that they can show to their other listings as well.
It all comes back full circle, and that's how you develop that partnership. Love it. That's fantastic. That's good stuff right there, guys. Next question is, so I've got an agent that's interested. I've talked to them. They've signed my commitment letter, and you kind of addressed this a second ago. Who buys the signs? And you've said that the agents buy the signs. Are they actually the ones going out there placing them, or if I've got an agent that, let's say I land a big dog, he's got 25 listings underneath him, am I relying on the agent to do that for each of those listings, or am I helping in that?
We have tried both ways, and you want them to have some skin in the game. So they buy the signs and they place them on their listings.
That makes sense. Then they're invested. Now they're vested in the strategy. If I'm doing it all for them, it's just there's no no investment of time, no investment of money, no investment of, their attention or focus to the strategy. That makes complete sense to me.
Well, and here's another thing that we teach our agents. We all know that if you have a listing, they want to hear something from you, okay? So this is a great excuse to say, when you go out and put a sign, knock on the door, say, just want to let you know I'm going to a different level to help market your house, and I'm going to put this sign out here. We're going to try to get some buyer leads direct that we can market specifically to your house. And so there's a great excuse, if you will, for the listing agent to engage with their listings. And a lot of times they don't know what to say or what to do, so we can give them a script for that, help them with engaging with their listing, providing more value again, especially if it's getting ready to expire or something. Here's a new way we're going to help market your house.
And that's a big thing because, if again, going back to the National Association of Realtors, they, in their statistics, they talk about that, consumers' number one gripe on their real estate agents is lack of communication. This gives you a built-in reason to communicate, and a lot of the lack of communication is fear of communicating, fear that, oh, the house hasn't sold in 2 weeks, and I don't know what to say to my seller. All they're going to want to do is bitch at me. So it gives you that excuse to have something cool to go and talk to your seller about, as opposed to just going there to ask them for a price reduction.
No question. A lot of power in that, Paul.
Absolutely. And here's a sample, and I know we've talked about the signs a minute, but this is this is a sample of the actual sign that you guys are using, and this is what you're getting printed for $4 or $5 based on the volume.
That's correct. And in this particular case, it was blue because that matched up with the color scheme of the realtors, the brokerage firm, and of course where it says extension, that's where we plug in the little white letters that would have the extension number. We tested about 7 or 8 different signs, including sign writers, and this was the one that pulled the most leads. So you don't have to go out and reinvent the wheel, folks. I think it was key, the little 24 hours a day that's in reverse print. We actually generated more leads in the evening when we've added that on there. But call for free recorded information on this home. It's not, to call to buy this home or anything like that. It's for free recorded information. So it's very low key soft in terms of the approach.
It's a very soft sell on that. Very cool. And that's kind of cool about the mobile voice routing is when they get there, they can listen to the recorded information, and then they get the option, would you like to speak to the real estate agent about this home? Say yes. So that's a good, perfect sign in that it says call for free recorded information on that home. It takes away the apprehension of, oh, I'm not calling. I don't want to speak to a salesperson. Exactly. It's recorded information on the home. The option comes after to speak to the salesperson, which is fantastic, especially if you've got a good recording, if you've got a good description of the home, and the home is what the homeowner's looking for. I mean, they're calling because they're interested. They're not just calling because, hey, there's an 800 number. I love calling these. That's not it. They're interested in the home. And so having that good description when they call in, that could lead to the yes answer after that. So it kind of fits within itself. It encourages the dial of the phone first and foremost, and then it tries to convert it to a conversation as opposed to trying to get the conversion right from the sign. That's just never going to happen.
Absolutely.
Or at least not at the rate we need it to.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head. It's a soft sell. We are not doing a hard sell on this. And the scripts and the coaching that we do with the agents and how we follow up, it's very much, I call it information-based marketing. Consumers love information. So if we help provide information, it's probably the fastest way we can start building some rapport with a consumer, just because we're giving them some value right up front. No expectations. Obviously, we have an expectation, but from the consumer's perspective, they're not being sold anything. We're giving them information.
That's the nature of sales 101. Give them something of value up front and don't ask for anything in return, and they will appreciate your opportunity. The opportunity. Love it. All right, so that leads us to the next question. Somebody dialed that phone number, and they said yes. Who takes that call?
That goes directly to whoever the agent is on on the transaction. If they have a team, they can rotate. So we have some teams that may have a couple of buyer agents, and they may be on call for a weekend versus another one, and you can go in the system very easily and just change the telephone number of what smartphone it connects to if they ask to connect for more information.
Honestly, I thought I was going to hear you say we take the calls.
I want the agents to be, first off, we have a whole licensing issue, right? We don't want to be giving information about real estate when we're not licensed real estate agents. So we want the realtors to be involved, and we discuss that with them up front. But there again, if you have an agent that won't take a call on one of their own listings, then we don't want to be dealing with that person. So we want them to take those phone calls. However, we get the email notification with the telephone number, et cetera, so that we can also do a follow-up phone call later on.
Perfect. That makes complete sense. Now, if the agent is the one, since the agent's taking the call, do you provide a script or training on how to handle those calls for the agents? Do you kind of paint the path for them?
Absolutely, and included in that script and what have you is we talked about, people are looking for information. You do not want to come across as a hard sell on this. You want to do it as a very soft sell. Ask leading questions. Well, how can I help you? Did you get the information that you were looking for from the recording? Have you been pre-approved for a mortgage? What type of time frame are you looking to make a move? All those kinds of questions in the right order. Mortgage part coming later in the game, of course. Those are leading questions where we teach them on how to professionally interview their prospect and then softly begin to build a relationship and rapport with them. But it's all information-based first.
Always give first and let it, kind of like that Zig Ziglar quote. I can't remember it verbatim, but help enough people to get what they want, give enough value, you'll get what you want in the end.
My favorite quote, absolutely my favorite quote, Zig Ziglar's quote that you just highlighted.
So on these scripts, is it just a script you provide to them, or do you actually sit, is this one of the, I know part of your commitment letter is setting up the expectations of multiple face-to-face opportunities, ongoing marketing, strategizing together, and as part of your commitment letter, is this part of that? Do you use, kind of training them on how to handle these calls as part of that, or one of those reasons to get together, or is it just a script you send over to them and say, hey, this is how I recommend that you take those calls?
It depends on the sophistication of the sales team. We've gone so far as to actually have role-playing sessions with buyers agents that we felt like maybe could use some help in terms of professional interviewing skills. And so, when you're doing your implementation plan, you start asking some questions and you start getting a feel for somebody's abilities. How long have they been in the business? How many transactions have they done? Do you feel comfortable interviewing a consumer? Could you use some help? Or we could have a training session to go through and give you some scripts and dialogues and some open-ended questions. Would that be helpful for you in your business? And then you become a training resource for some of those. If they're more sophisticated and they've been around for a long time, then you don't need to go there. But I think you tailor it to the individual team or realtor.
So it just depends. Gotcha. And that makes complete sense. All right, so here's the big one, and this is one that I know is ultra important to you. It should be ultra important to everybody, but how do you track how many calls, how long they were on the phone? Did they say yes to talk to an agent? Did they say no? How do you track the numbers as far as the calls coming in?
One of the beauties of ProQuest technologies that I love is they have all kinds of metrics. And Paul, you know I'm a numbers guy. I always want to look at, what's my investment, what's my return on investment, how many leads am I generating, what's my average cost per lead. I can tell you this is going to be one of the lowest cost per lead systems that you will ever find out there. And the beauty of it is, as I said before, the risk of repeating myself, they're exclusive. We're not talking about sharing an internet lead that you spend $15 or $20 for and it's being sold 6, 8, 10 times to other people. And the same thing for our realtors. We have exclusive rights to these leads, and the consumer's taken some action to get there. So, you have a lot of different obstacles that have been overcome by the consumer whether it be leaving a voicemail or connecting directly to the agent or just simply calling in. Now, so you have all this in the back office within ProQuest, all the information that you're talking about here, or we're talking about here, is all accessible. So you can run numbers. You can also tell if somebody went to go to a realtor and they didn't pick up the phone call. All that's trackable. And so I let my agents know right up front, we're going to have all this reports. I'm going to share it with you. You know, we can't be spending money on this technology if you won't be willing to take those phone calls. And if they don't take the calls, we find out about it. And so there's an accountability system in place that really highlights that.
I like that quite a bit. That takes the guesswork out of it, and it kind of lets you know, you may have a, I hate to say that agents may do this, but you may have a big talker that talks a great game, but then when it comes to proof in the pudding, you see that they've gotten 4 calls, and all 4 calls they've declined to answer. That's a whole other conversation, and that leads me to my next question. How do you handle an agent who is, what's the right way to say it, less than diligent with taking the calls? How do you handle a situation like that where you do notice on your tracking that an agent is pushing calls over to the voicemail instead of taking those calls live?
Well, that's very politically correct. Less than diligent with taking calls. But I'll tell you this right now from experience, if you do very much of this, you are going to have some less than diligent agents that you're going to be working with. Okay, so just recognize it up front that that's going to be part of the game. So how do we handle it? We're very much above board. Remember, we're partners. We're bringing some technology and some expertise to the table. We're spending some money to help them build their business, and if they won't continue to be more than diligent instead of less than diligent, then we're going to have to take the technology away. So there can be a separation there. Obviously, we don't threaten that right off the bat or anything like that, but we do just have a conversation. This is costing us money. You're spending money on signs. We've got live people that are wanting to look at your homes or raising their hand saying, I'm in the market to buy a house. What better target market can you have? And if you're not willing to take those phone calls, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to continue to provide this technology.
And I see it as like maybe the first time you notice it, you sit down with them and hey, I noticed that, you're not taking some of the calls. Is it a comfort level? Do you need a little bit more? Do you need some more scripting? Do you want to role play with me so that you feel more comfortable taking those live calls when they happen? Because let me explain the difference in a live call and following up with somebody. They hung up the phone and left that message. They wanted to speak to somebody live. Guess what they did when they left that property? They drove down the road to look at the next one, and they picked up the phone and they dialed that real estate agent too. And that real estate agent maybe answered the phone.
Well, there's no question.
You don't want to be the second in line. You want to earn that opportunity when you get that opportunity.
Well, and there's no question, every minute that goes by without them talking to somebody when they're trying to get information, it diminishes the quality of that lead. The likelihood of them going elsewhere, even after 15 or 20 minutes, is astronomical in terms of Harvard Business School did a study on this years ago. I need to find that and get you a copy of it. But after 20 or 30 minutes, it fell 75 or 80% less likely to continue to move forward with the transaction. So
that makes pure sense to me, because I know for me personally, when I'm looking for a business or a service, and I'll even relate it to when I was purchasing a home and drove by the house, make the dial, and didn't get an answer, I didn't stop there. I start looking for local real estate agents, and I called until I got somebody on the phone and set up an appointment to, if it's something that I want to have, and I've made that, Google likes to call it the ZMOT, that zero moment of truth. I've made that buying decision in my own mind. I'm going to figure out how to make that happen. And if I make a dial and nobody answers, well, I'm dialing the next one that can make that happen. And I'm doing that until I'm satisfied that I've got the information that I need, or I've accomplished what I'm trying to accomplish. And that's just me personally. I can't help but think that other consumers are like that throughout the world and the country. And you make that dial and nobody answers, the next thing that's happening is I'm dialing the next person on my list, which here's a coaching point for everybody on this call today. That holds true for loan officers as well as real estate agents, and I don't mean to get off point, but that is something that's a coaching point that you really need to take to heart. When your phone rings, answer it. Because I promise you, if you don't, the person will leave a voice message, but the next thing they're doing is dialing the very next number they find for another loan officer.
There's no
Don't let that
question
happen
about
to
it.
you.
And Paul, you know, right, wrong, or indifferent, the world that we're in today, because of technology, we are in an instant gratification society.
Absolutely.
And if we don't recognize that as professional salespeople, we are missing business. And so you are absolutely correct. Even to the point of when you get these leads in for the mortgage loan officer that gets that email in, you need to be making an outbound phone call as soon as possible to just inquire about, have you been pre-approved yet? You know, again, we have scripts for all this, but, you know, did you get the information that you were looking for from the recorded message? Did you want to speak with the agent on this particular property? When do you plan on making a move? Those type of leading questions that we gain information from, and then obviously after you build up a little rapport, you know, tell me what buying a new home's going to be for you. Do you have one to sell now? Is this going to give you more room for your family? Make those neuro-linguistic programming connections to build rapport, and then transition into, you know, one of the things we like to do is make sure that all of our clients have the buying power of a cash buyer. Would you like for us to move forward and get you pre-approved at no charge so that you have all the information at your fingertips and you know you're ready to go? And that's where we're, you know, again, building some rapport there before we get to that point. But that's what the ultimate point is. We're trying to get those pre-approvals.
That's awesome.
And then obviously take them back after we get them to our referral partners that from what property that lead originated from. That's a key, and I don't want to go through this without highlighting that. You don't just sprinkle them around. If a lead comes off of one of your agent signs, you need to take it back to that agent. It's only the ethical way to do things.
Well, and it ensures that it works the same way coming back to you as well. It ensures that if you're doing that for the agent is also doing the same thing for you. They're not going to get a call on that on your system and then take it to their other, you know, hand three cards out of 3 different lenders. It's just, you know, it takes that option away because you've set the expectation of what's going to happen with the lead when it comes through.
And remember, we're trying to build a partnership so we can go really deep in our relationships with our referral partners instead of having to do business with everybody in town.
That's it. All right, so what type, and this is one that I'm not sure, you know, where you're going to go with the answer on this one. I'm interested in the answer on this question myself. What type of ongoing follow-up are you using? So let's say this week you got 8 calls on 123 Anywhere Street, and 2 of them went and saw the home. 4 of them didn't return the call, and you've got the phone number of the other 2 as well that are going to call you back next week. What's the ongoing follow-up process for all 8 of those people?
Well, let me first start by saying this, Paul. Just like with a listing agent that needs to find an excuse to talk to their listings, we as mortgage loan officers should be looking for an excuse that is partnership-based to be having dialogue with our referral partners.
Mm-hmm.
And so set up a system to where every other day or 2 times a week or at least once a week, you're on the phone call with that agent saying, okay, let's talk about this lead. Did we show them any houses? Oh, I got them pre-approved. They're ready to go at this price range. We haven't made contact with them. All right, so I'm going to call them again today. Are you going to call them? And then if you have made contact with them, make sure you're asking for the simple thing of getting their email address, and then all of ours that we get email address obviously go into our drip marketing system where we're providing value and sending out emails periodically and building that database of prospective buyers.
So I've got something new for you here, Chad, then, and it's something that came up on our daily mastermind class on Wednesday. We talked about it, and it makes absolute sense to me, and I think I'm going to give you a little something from our mastermind group here.
Well, that's the power of the mastermind, right?
It absolutely is. What would happen if you took those leads that you've got their phone numbers, and 90% of them, they're calling from in front of the home, so it's their cell phone numbers, right? What if you started doing some text message marketing to them? Sending some simple text messages. The same thing you would do in an email, you do in a text message.
I love it. It's a good use of technology. And, you know, the thing that I like the most, Paul, you know this about me, I'm always looking at how can we have various layers in our marketing, various different touches, because different consumers will respond to different stimuli. Some people prefer to text instead of talking on the telephone. Let's be honest about it. So
yep. And I think, you know, that's what the conversation was the other day, is that, you know, people are comfortable behind that texter. Let them stay in their comfort zone. Create the conversation that you know, via text. It's no big deal. You can't see them if you're talking to them. What's the difference if you're texting with them?
Well, I've said this on some prior calls, but my marketing philosophy, there was a book called Enterprise 1-to-1, and basically it said the more high-tech the world became, the more high-touch people want. But we want to be communicated to in the manner that we want to be communicated with. So in our team, if somebody wants to communicate via email, great. By telephone, great. By fax, great. How do you want us to serve you? And then identify that and serve them in that manner, because that's where their comfort level is. And now the new world is text isn't part of that equation.
Love it. Love it. Okay, here's one, and I don't know if this is, we're going to get a defined answer on this one, but I want to bring the question up because I know it's in the back of somebody's mind. How many signs or agents do I need to have to be profitable with mobile voice routing? Like, you know, if I have one agent with one sign in front of one house, am I going to be profitable, or do I need to have 10 agents with, you know, 30 listings with a sign in front of every house for it to generate enough leads for me to be able to do business with? What's the numbers look like?
Well, and this is a tough question, because when you're first starting, you're not going to have 30 or 40 signs.
Right.
But all it takes is one a month, and what's your return on investment? You've invested $99, and what's your average commission amount? If it's $1,500 to $2,000, that's pretty profitable. So I would suggest that you don't think in terms of necessarily how many signs you need right now, but what's the fastest way for me to get enough critical mass out to get a lot of signs out that generate a lot of phone calls? That's where I think I would twist the focus a little bit, Paul, in that regard.
Okay. And so focus more on what do I need to get, you know, get my first sign out? How do I get my second sign out? These things, and build it up to where you've got that, like you said, critical mass that's just, it's an automated thing. So there isn't a true number as far as number of signs or number of agents.
No, but let me interject this. A lot of mortgage professionals don't know what to do to capture and monetize a listing agent's business. An agent that doesn't do much in the way of buyer business, they don't know how to monetize that. Well, this is a way to monetize it. For $99 a month, you can have up to 1,000 extensions out there. So if you've got a listing agent in your market that has 30, 40, 50 listings, they don't have to make a huge investment on their part. They might get two sides of the transaction, and maybe they don't even have a buyer's agent. Maybe they give those to someone else in their office. You can still monetize that listing agent's business that way by using this technology.
Love it. Okay, so we've talked about the agent side of this. Besides agents, are you able to use this mobile voice routing technology with any other referral partners, like specifically partners?
Absolutely. Builders is an overlooked market. So if you don't know how to penetrate a builder account, this is a way that you can provide some value there. So what we have done is actually in a subdivision that a builder is building in, maybe they have a model home, maybe they don't, but you could say, you know, have a sign out there, you know, would you like information on what type of house could be built on this lot, and generate some leads that way. So certainly think in terms of builders. Not a referral partner, but another way that we've used this technology is for FSBO marketing. And that's a huge, huge component in some markets, particularly in today's market. There's more and more markets that are absolutely sellers markets. There's more demand than there is supply. A lot of people are saying, I don't need to pay a real estate agent their commission. I want to sell this house by owner. Well, you can provide some professional marketing tools to their for sale by owner, capture some leads, get some pre-approvals, get them pre-approved for their next purchase, and then have some type of defined criteria where you ask them, Mr. Home Seller, how long would it be to try to sell this house on your own before you might consider engaging the professional skills of a real estate agent? And so have that kind of an agreement there. And then what we found is those that don't sell, we end up referring back to our real estate agents. Now be prepared, you'll get a little pushback because there are some agents that actually called us when we started doing this and they're like, why are you helping these for sale by owners? You're taking business away from us. Say, oh, Mr. and Ms. Realtor, what you don't understand is when they don't sell it, we're able to take them back to our realtor partners. Would you like to sit down and discuss how we might be able to develop a partnership of working together?
Mm-hmm. So you can get some of those when we bring them back.
Absolutely.
I like it. Good stuff. So I know you've got this rolled out and you're getting ready to aggressively roll it out again and with the Legacy Mortgage team. How else do you plan on implementing mobile voice routing? Like besides just targeting agents or builders or FSBOs, what are some of the other ways that you can use mobile voice routing?
Well, I brainstormed, and again, to me, Paul, I'm going to repeat myself, but marketing is how can we use one idea or concept and then have multiple layers of marketing. And so I wrote down a couple different things. Years ago, and I remember this early in my career with the call capture, we did the old ugly yellow sign strategy where we got a bright yellow sign with black letters because people's eyes are trained to go to those because they look like a traffic sign, right? Mm-hmm. And we would stick some of those in on the exit ramp coming off of a freeway onto a major thoroughfare, and it might be find out how much home you can qualify for. Call this number now, or for a free recorded information, call now, that sort of thing. And so that's one way, but then you're generating some consumer direct leads where you give a little bit of recorded message about the benefits of being pre-approved, et cetera. We're capturing those. We have to call those people back and talk to them about, again, go through the professional interview process. Tell me about what you're trying to accomplish. Have you been pre-approved? What type of timetable are you on, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a consumer direct strategy. Now, I just came up with this about 30 minutes before this call. You know that we do a lot of active rain postings. Mm-hmm. Well, shame on us. We haven't had, in some of our targeted active rain postings, we have a telephone number in there, but we haven't had a message that said, for free recorded information on a home renovation loan or a 203K loan, call this number for more information. And we could be generating some leads that we're capturing that way. Certainly on your websites, you can have informational-based recorded messages on your websites. So Active Rain and websites are two that we're going to be really looking at. Your drip emails for your past clients. For instance, we're doing a campaign for 203Ks, and we're going to our past client database saying, does your house need a little updating, et cetera? Well, we have this renovation program because I'm a big believer in 203K, as you know, Paul. I mean, that's a niche that we can be masterful at, and since we have it in-house, that gives us a huge advantage. But have a little informational, 800 number that you can call and get more information on this. They don't know that we're going to be capturing their information, but what great service we're giving to our past clients or our prospective database when we call them back and say, I saw you called in for this information. Did you get what you needed? Do you have any other questions that we can answer for you, et cetera? So drip emails, we could have that in there. Our Legacy Care, our corporate marketing program, we could have a recorded message about call this number to find out what benefits the Legacy Care plan affords you. And then we're capturing somebody, and we know it's coming from a particular employer, and we can call them back again with a soft sell. So those are just some brainstorms that I had kind of off the top of my head.
Really like that. I like the idea of the active rain stuff because that's search engine optimization juice. I mean, that's just Google search juice right there. And then you also get the 800 number in there, the ability to capture, the ability to track and save. I like that. That's a great idea right there. And one of the things, you mentioned your past clients, but what about the leads list that didn't close or convert? That's another one that you can include that email to and include an 800 number for, hey, if we can find out how the pre-approval process works and why it's important to be pre-approved, call this number now for
Absolutely.
a pre-recorded
You
message.
You could have a multiple messages. You could say, for information on how to improve your credit so that you can purchase a home, call this number for information. There's so many different things that we can give. Think in terms of giving value. That's a consistent philosophy that you and I really subscribe to, Paul. Give value first, give information. Again, I call it information marketing. How can we give some value so we can build a rapport and build a relationship and then serve people's needs?
That's the key right there. So there's a handful of people on the call with us today. Several have been completely engaged in today's presentation, so I know it's something that several are thinking about, and I know through conversations that it's a program that people have known about but didn't know the right way to do it, and I think what mobile voice routing does is bring the right way to do it. Do you have any advice for those who want to start using mobile voice routing to get started right away? Do you have any advice on getting going with it?
I would say just pull the trigger and get it going. It's easy to implement. One of the things that we didn't cover that I want to mention here is that you may be thinking, oh gosh, I'm going to have to record all these messages and et cetera. Oh, you don't with this system. We did with the old call capture technology. I had an assistant that was constantly recording messages about describing a particular home, and it was rather labor intensive. With this system, you can actually copy and paste right off an MLS listing a description of a home, plug it into the system, and it will convert text to voice, and the voice is really good quality, and so you've got your recorded message. So it's very easy to implement. You don't have to have a team of assistants to do this. I would go so far as to say this, Paul. Aside from the opening needs assessment and the commitment letter approach with real estate agents, and I'll say this, you need to have a value proposition when you go back with that commitment letter. This is one of the lowest cost strategies to bring some real value to identify your target market that you can plug into that commitment letter and engagement process. Gives you an excuse to go out and talk to them about the system, show them the back office, show them the different things, the scripts and the dialogues, and have the training with them for those that need it, etc. This is a great way to engage at a very, very low cost with your realtor component of your business. So I will tell you that pillars in terms of probably order of preference, obviously realtor number one, but where's your value package? Well, this is your value package. So this is a new business pillar for you, and it complements your first realtor component of your business pillars.
And it gives you that thing to put into your commitment letter about here's a tool that I'm going to provide you, just so you've got something tangible, something. I mean, I know it's a technology, but something that they can see, touch, and feel, in addition to the things that you say in that commitment letter that differentiate yourself and the professionalism that you use. You've got this tangible item now that you can kind of put in there, and that brings it all to, kind of full circle, so to speak.
Well, and you're establishing yourself as a marketing expert, because you've become, and by the way, there's a number of interviews with top producers, 6 or 7 interviews when you join that you can listen to other folks that may have some other ideas that I haven't even touched on. I haven't listened to them yet. I don't know if they're any good or not, but there's some other folks that have been successful in using the system. I will tell you that I think that there's a major void in the marketplace of really bringing value from a marketing perspective back to our realtor partners, and it's easier to build a partnership that way. Obviously, you have to have good loan programs. You have to have good quality support staff that's helping you out. If you don't have that, you're not even in the game in today's world. But this is a differentiation point to really bring more value to our realtor partners.
And I think, my friend, that is it. What questions, guys, girls, any questions that you have, we are here to answer them. I can see there are a couple questions in the question box, so I'm going to pop that open now. But if you've got a question as well, simply type it in, post it to us. We've got a couple of minutes here for some Q&A real quick. Question from James. This is a great question, Chad. James is asking, do any of the national real estate brokers, like the Century 21s, the Remaxes, do they have this system within their services that they offer their agents presently?
I don't know of any national firm. I have come across a couple of brokerage firms that provide it, but not very many. And those were, in my case, in our market anyway, those were some smaller firms. So I don't know of any national firm. Now, they do, the Keller Williams and the Coldwell Bankers are pretty savvy now about providing websites for their agents. But the challenge there is that those websites are all alike, so from an SEO perspective, they get washed under the, right out the door. So I don't know how much value it is, but that they at least make it look like they're helping them from a technology perspective to have a website. but I don't see this. I've not come across this in the marketplace where a firm or a large firm is saying we're giving this to all of our agents.
I'm sure you come across them that are using a 1-800 call capture, but not the actual mobile voice routing, which is guys, I'm going to tell you, it is so very different than just the regular 800 call capture. I mean, that conversion of saying yes versus taking the phone down and pressing the button number 1, that little piece right there is worth gold. Because that's the conversion difference. That is really the conversion difference. Berkshire offers their agents text for information, which again is very different. And the split testing, I know Chad's done some split testing on this, on the text for information versus the 800 number. And loan officers I've worked with in the past have done the same thing. Typically, you're getting 7-to-1 phone calls on the 800 number versus texting for information still.
Yeah, we have, of course, that we use the single property websites, Paul. We don't even turn on that text part. We don't want a sign writer on there. This is far better in terms of capturing leads and prospective buyers than that text factor.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I like the text stuff. It does work. It's just this is converting 7-to-1. Like I said, people are using the 800 number 7-to-1 over the text number.
Well, here's why I don't like the text part is I can't track that the way I can with this system. Mm-hmm. And then I don't have the ability to have them raise their hand and say, "Can I talk to somebody?" You can't do that over a text. So. You might get a single property website on your smartphone, and you might be able to show somebody because you text for information, but they don't have the capture capability like we have with this system. That's why I like this one.
That's a big difference there. It looks like that's all the questions that were not answered. Let me just we'll be providing scripts for the system. So guys, yes, Monday when we get together on the Monday Daily Mastermind, we're going to be talking about this specifically. We're going to be talking about scripts, exactly what to say, how to say it, how to provide scripts to your real estate agents, and everything in between. So just kind of hang tight on the scripting part of this strategy. We'll get into that really deep on Monday next week, on Monday on the Daily Mastermind. Chad, I think we've covered all the questions. Guys, girls, just real quick, one just popped in as I was saying that. To make this work, do I find the sign company to make the signs?
I'll tell you what, Paul, we can get the sign company that we use, and we can get that posted in the member site so they can have a resource that they can use that we've used, and they've been very reliable.
There you go. How about this, James? As Chad just said, he'll provide you with the information for his sign company he uses. That way you can get the same kind of deal. That works right there, my friend.
And we shopped around probably 15 or 20 different entities to find this one. So
awesome.
Yeah, learn from our mistakes, right?
That's it. That's it. Guys, girls, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We really appreciate it, and we are always, always interested in your feedback, always interested in what you've got to say, and anything, any feedback that you've got on today's class, we'd love to hear it. If you head over to facebook.com/mortgage mastermind group, just leave us a little comment on there, maybe leave a comment underneath the picture for today's class announcement. We would really appreciate any comments or any feedback that you've got on today's class, we greatly appreciate it. And Chad, I've got actually it's 2:01, so I don't have the extra minute, but I told you guys I wanted to show you this. If you come over to the ProQuestTechnologies.com, again, it's ProQuestTechnologies.com. When you go into the pricing section, it literally shows you all the things that are included. You get 1,000 extensions. You get 1,000 text for info codes if you're going to use those. Like Chad said, he doesn't even use that side of it. 1,000 mobile sites, QR codes. I mean, it's all included. Now, there are some additional things you can do to purchase more information or to purchase some optimal lead conversion audio series. So if you want to purchase the optimal lead conversion audio series where they teach you how to convert, I don't know that you need all those things.
Actually, Paul, I think that's included. They're just saying that that's a value. So.
Oh, okay. That's all included as well?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. $99 a month, guys, is what you're paying. And again, if you do it, and it does say the 5th, so if you purchase it today, if this is a strategy that you're looking to do it, if you buy today, they're going to waive the $300 setup fee for you. We do not, I'm not saying this or telling you this because we're making any money or an affiliation of any sort. Please don't think that. We're not affiliated with ProQuest Technologies. We don't have an affiliate link. I'm sending you to ProQuestTechnologies.com, not / anything with an affiliate. Head over there, check it out for yourself. I highly recommend it to you because it's just so much different than the regular 800 call capture. It actually works for you, and then there's so many other things on the back end, the tracking, the additional sites, the additional texting, all of the extras that come with it make it absolutely worth it. So, Chad, thank you.
One of the things that I want to point out, Paula, which is a really nice plus too, is a lot of times when you get involved with technology like this, you've got an extended contract you have to sign. This one is month to month. You can turn it on or off at any time.
That is one of the big things that it talks about, no contract, low-cost marketing. They'll even guarantee your investment 6 months. So it does work. Guys, girls, thank you so much for hanging out with us today on this beautiful Friday. Hope you have a fantastic weekend and enjoy yourselves. Be good. Be careful. Head over to facebook.com / Mortgage Mastermind Group. Your feedback is always appreciated. Chad, always a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you very much, Paul. Have a wonderful weekend to everybody on the call.
We'll see you guys later. Have a good one, guys.